Hello and welcome to the Hero Spouse. I am Kendra Ruth here for Facebook Live on June 10th, 2024. It is 12:32. I'm about 2 minutes late because I'm still trying to get everything set up. I've got two sick kids upstairs, which is why I made it an hour later, trying to get them a little closer to when Chuck is going to get home so he can be with them. So we have about 6 questions to go through today. So I am going to go through our opening a little bit. We are going live only in 2 places because I cannot go live on the private Facebook group page anymore. So if you are over on the private Facebook group page, I have posted a link to that to over there to get over to our page. Of course, if you're over there, you're not watching us. So let me refresh my screen in both of the places where we are. We are on YouTube and we are on a public Facebook group. So let me make sure things are coming. Mute my screen. We're working over here. Good. And refresh over here. And then I am going to paste the link to Stand Up and Thrive because Stand Up and Thrive is open until Thursday evening at 9 o'clock Pacific time. Stand Up and Thrive is my membership for Left Behind and Forward Moving Spouses. It includes Detach and Thrive, which is my 8-week online course. So Stand Up and Thrive opens every 8 weeks, giving everyone a chance to go through Detach and Thrive. And then once that 8-week course has completed the delivery, we open up Stand Up and Thrive again. So let me make sure everything is coming through. If my sound is coming through for you, or if it's not, let me know in the comments and I will be watching them on my screen. Looks good so far. Good. Okay, and I still haven't figured out how to comment on YouTube. Sorry. So I'm going to put the comment in on Facebook and make sure, see if it comes through. If I put it in the right place. I know I just put it in, but I'm not seeing it. Oh, here. Hit go. There it is. Okay. Okay. So if you are interested, then you can come in and sign up for Stand Up and Thrive. We meet live on Zoom 4 times per week. 2 times for a 30-minute session. I try to stay for 60 minutes on those. Okay, great. Perfect. And 2 times for a 2-hour session. We are just starting to switch over to our summer schedule. The kids are out of school this week. They're at camp next week, so there's some wonky stuff going on. And there is an entire week off in the month of July when I am on vacation. And I'm going to a place where we don't have any Wi-Fi. So it really, truly is a week off. But I've also set it up every month. I have it set so there is technically a week that could be off, and that is set in case of emergencies, but I try not to have those weeks off. But if I have to reschedule something, it's a makeup week. So let's get started. My printer's still not working, so I'm going to be reading off of the screen. And the first one is one I did not receive by submission. This came in as a comment, and so I'm not going to give details on it. I could glean details and I could research the details, but I'm not going to give them. But it was a topic and a comment I really wanted to bring up. I really wanted to discuss it because it's important for all of you, but I felt it was really heartbreaking also. And I thought that you personal, the commenter, and the rest of you need to hear from it, okay? So we're going to start with number 1, and this is anonymous. This is a female left behind and forward moving spouse. And she just said, so what do we do? Do we just stay in perpetual limbo? My spouse has been in his limerent affair since 2019, in the middle of 2019. And I discovered it in January of 2021. So a year and a half after the start of the affair. I keep hoping the mistress will get boring and bothersome and that he'll realize she's just not a unicorn. But I'm not sure I'm using the right term, but I think he's low energy. and he tolerates a lot of mediocrity. Thus, he's willing to sleep next to me for a year and a half while desperately in love with her, this friend of mine. So I bet he could happily stay in the limbo for 22 years, which is how long we were married before the affair started. Am I to just stay in a holding pattern in limbo and working on me all that time? No. Okay, so first thing, we have to I'm not saying discount, that's not the right word. Set aside the year and a half when you didn't know, because what can you do when you don't know? And now we're going to take it once you know. No, you're not supposed to passively sit by and just work on you in hopes that that everybody else is going to fix it. And one of the things I felt really heartbreaking about this is you personally seem like you're upbeat and perky and filled with joy, and you seem like somebody who helps people and who you want people to come to you and who people go to, and you are the face. You have to be this face, and people count on you, and that's hard, isn't it? Is it really hard to hold onto that, to keep being it? Does it feel like a burden? Do you feel like you're cracking? I feel that sometimes. You're sure, I've got 5 kids, and sometimes it's utter chaos. And do you feel like you have one life here with your face and one life behind the closed door? No. You feel like you're living a secret. You feel like you're fraud. You feel like you're not real. And I don't want you to be doing that. Because if you feel that way, you feel like you're that way, like you're inauthentic. And that eats at the inside of you, who you are. And then you start to wonder who you are. You start to not believe in yourself. You start to not know who you are. You start to think, I thought I was this person, but I'm not the person I thought I was. I thought I was this confident person. I always said I was going to be like this, and then I learned I'm not. It eats at you, doesn't it? And no, you're not supposed to passively sit by. The other person isn't just going to get boring. You have to take your life and you have to make a decision about what to do with it. If you're going to be a stander, you can be, first thing, you can be a stander while not being in the same space as your MLCer. So you can be a stander while separated. You can be a stander while divorced. You can be a stander while sleeping in the same bed also. It makes it a lot harder. And I'm not sure if that's the situation, because there were some confusing pieces. But no, I don't want you to passively sit by. No, I want each and every one of you. And I get it at the beginning when we feel so broken and before we have lifted up and gotten some healing under us, that it feels that way, and we're kind of that way. But once we get some more healing under us that can lift us and give us some strength, we can take back that power. And we can stop being so passive. And your discovery was in 2021, 3.5 years ago. And I really want you, and I'm really hoping that this is a moment of cycling, and that you have moments of not feeling such despair as well, because this is really, really heartbreaking. And I really want you to be taking back some power. And I want you to have your glow back. And I want you to take your glow back. I want you to put it on back. I want you to find yourself back. And I want you to stop allowing her to take it away. Stop allowing them to take it away. Because they don't have that kind of power. The only kind of power other people have is the power we give them. And if you sit by and try and let it and wait for it to happen, that's passive, and it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. What does happen is if we go off and get our own life, then we become attractive. And that's when she stops looking like a unicorn. She stops looking like a unicorn when you stop looking like you're waiting for things to change instead of making things change. When you be the change, but you have to be the change in you. You can't be the change in others. But when one thing changes, others change also. It's the teeter-totter. When one part goes up, the other part goes down. Okay? So everything is going to affect everything else. That's or the butterfly effect. All of these things change other things, change other things, change other things. And so we do have influence, but everyone gets a choice in these. So I can't tell you what they're going to choose and how they're going to choose to react and how they're going to choose to respond and how long it will take them. And sure, maybe he could happily stay in limbo. But you clearly cannot happily stay in limbo. And maybe rather than happily stay in limbo, maybe he could just stay in limbo and take out that happily. Maybe he's somebody who is low energy enough to be depressed enough to stay there without ever really getting out of it. It's not bad enough and not good enough. And it's low enough but not high enough. He doesn't know enough better. Doesn't know worse enough. It's just, oh, this is how life is. But you know that doesn't have to be that way. So you sit up and then you stand up. You go out there and you find your life and you take your life and you create your life. And he sees you creating that life, and maybe he wants a part of it. Maybe he doesn't know how to get a part of it. Maybe he doesn't take a part of it. And maybe he does. But you still have it. Maybe other people want a part of it. But you have to be that. You have to be the attractive force for yourself. Okay? This one is for all of us. Okay? We don't be in perpetual limbo. We don't be passive. We don't just let the affair happen and happen without saying anything. Okay? And if this is a situation where he doesn't know that you know, it's been going on for way too long. Don't keep his secret. Okay? More later. Okay? You can contact me. And I will you. Okay? I hope it helps you. But I'm going to go on, and I hope to hear from you. So let's go on to number 2. This is an anonymous female left behind and forward moving spouse with a bomb drop of November 27th, 2023, and a date of marriage of 1996. She has a vanisher, and she is not familiar with the energy level. She says, we have 2 kids, 19 and 14. I've been a stay-at-home mom since 2006. He works mainly out of town, and he always has. And that made me think that when she says works out of town, does that mean he travels out of town and is usually like home on weekends, or almost like long distance trucker? He's usually not at home, or that he has to actually live not at home I mean, it sounds like he's not home much. He came in Thanksgiving and told me he wanted a divorce in front of the kids and said he loves me but not in love with me. And he was all over the place like he didn't know he was home in September when our family photo was. All of this was out of the blue. Finally, I got the truth out of him the day after, and he said he was in love with someone else. He had to follow his heart. He left shortly after that and went back to Ohio. So crossing states. He has since taken her on vacation and she's living with him. We're going through a divorce right now. He's vicious and he monsters on me. He turned our oldest son against me, so I'm going to say, since you have 2 kids, I'm going to say the 19-year-old. Okay. And he turned our oldest son against me, and he doesn't have anything to do with the youngest. When will he wake up and realize what he has put us through? So you're asking some certain things. We use certain terms, but when will he wake up? What you mean was when he wakes up is when will he figure it out and come out of MLC? Because waking up isn't the same thing. When you wake up, or when will he realize what he's done? When will he realize what he's put us through? That is not when he's coming out of MLC. When will he wake up and realize? When they wake up is not the exit point, okay? When they wake up and realize what they've done is, now imagine you realize what you've done. Imagine you're sitting at the wheel, okay? And have you ever had that kind of thing where you're really tired and you're driving and you go, oh my God, and you're wrong lane, and you steer over, right? That. Now imagine you do it a split second too late and you crash. But imagine your crash was because you'd been drinking. Now what? What is the guilt you feel? You woke up. You woke up to the realization that it's your fault. Do you feel shame? Do you feel guilt? Often what people want to do now, when they realize the damage and destruction they have done, they are doing, they run, they hide. They're like, oh my God. So the wake up isn't an exit. That's what sent them into the depression. That the stage 4 that Jim Conway calls depression, which is Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's stages of stage depression. Jim Conway took her stages. Or stage that I call liminality. It is the stage where psychic breakdown. You have separation, that's separating from the tribe. And then you have liminality. Psychic breakdown. They fall apart. The who am I don't know who I am, is just disintegrates. Because that person that I thought I was wouldn't have done that. I can't know who I am now because I just destroyed everything. When will he wake up? I can't tell you when, but I can tell you that what you think is a wake up isn't what you think it is. Because that's kind of this more centery portion. Center, or it's not near the end of MLC. Realize what he's put us through. They realize what they put us through and they turtle back in, withdraw, fall down into a liminality, whatever metaphor you want to use. It is not an exit from midlife crisis and a time where they start making amends. No. So the waking up point, that point that where they open their eyes and they see the damage. Oh my God, what have I done? Oh, I'm so ashamed, embarrassed. Oh my God, I can't handle it. They can't handle it. It's too much of a weight. Okay, so then the next question is, take that aside and go with the question you're really asking is, when will they really not realize what he has put us through, but acknowledge what he put us through, which is different. Realize and acknowledge. The acknowledge is the exit. Okay, let's say it that way. That's different. So they have to go through that. That they have to accept And then they have to start integrating back into society, testing that, put themselves back together. Then test this new self. I'm going to go edit the self again, back and forth a bit. Integrate into society. Back and forth, integrate again, back and forth, integrate again, change, make some changes, integrate again. Integrate into society with little bits of making amends, making amends, making amends, acknowledging, making amends. Some never make it. Some do. So make it in tidbits, okay? And it can take years. I can't give a when on that. And you might see it in drips and drabs. You might see it and you might not recognize it for what it is. Because you'll see a little tiny fragment of it. And then a year later, you'll see the other fragment of it. And you have to piece them together, okay? And what are your kids going to do? I mean, he's not having anything to do with your youngest, and he's turned one of your kids against you. Your job is to go on. Your job is to heal. Is your 19-year-old at home? Because he's turned your 19-year-old against you. Where is your 19-year-old? Your job is to continue to go on, even if your 19-year-old has been turned against you, and to validate. You know what? I'm really sorry. That is not an appropriate way to speak to me. I'm sorry that your dad is saying that. You know that's not true, though. You know that I have always, tried to speak hot, whatever. But you do it in a calm voice. You do it with empathy. All of those things, okay? Okay, I'm going to take a second and read, because we have a few different comments. First one. My husband entered into a midlife crisis 6 weeks after he turned 40. At the time, I didn't know anything about midlife crisis. He left home after 4 months, and yes. So one of the first things I would recommend is if you haven't already, do Understanding Midlife Crisis, which is a free course. So Understanding Midlife Crisis, let me see if I have a moment. Sometimes I have not able to multitask because it's hard. And when I say it's hard, it's because I always click on the wrong thing. And like I just did, because I'm trying to go to the right place and trying to go to the right link to get you the right URL. But take the free course, Understanding Midlife Crisis. That will also, if you're not already signed up for the mailing list as well. Another one. Wife left me 6 weeks ago, claims she hated me for abuse that happened years ago. Okay, for abuse from you or for abuse from others? Okay, the last 2 years I had changed. Okay, is it what she claims or is it a midlife crisis? She went from loving me overnight to hating me overnight. So first thing, have you been in counseling? And when I say you, I mean you plural. What kind of trauma therapy have the both of you been? Okay, from you. So that's going to be a little bit beyond the pay grade of midlife crisis. So she went from loving me to hating me overnight. She's got some trauma. And it may have happened years ago, but some of the things that come from trauma and from abuse may cycle back through and back through and back through. So they may be things that you have to deal with again and again. Just like when she might be triggered. And if she gets a trauma trigger in her brain, she could go back to it, just like with PTSD. So forget the word marital counseling. It's any form of therapy. First thing, has she done EMDR? Have you? Okay, good. You're in indigo. That's good. Think about some trauma therapy, because she can get a trauma trigger and it can take her back to an experience and she can think she's in the moment, even if she's not, and even if you haven't done it now. So that might be an important thing. I can't tell you that's what's happening. I'm not a therapist. But if she is triggered, she may not know the difference. And so that wouldn't put it in a midlife crisis territory. That could put her just simply being triggered. And it would be very real to her. And especially if you were the original perpetrator. So she could be rightfully frightened, and she doesn't know how to trust again, especially if you were the one from before, and then she sees the person who hurt her before right there, but trying to comfort her. What does she do with that? So I can understand her confusion. Okay, I am going to go back to, I need to get back. I know I was trying to find the link. I think I'm thinking of too many things. So I'm going to go back to my questions page. I was on number 2, so we're going to head on to number 3. I know we are way behind as usual. Number 3, we have Sarah. Sarah has a bomb drop of September 20th, 2021, and a date of marriage of 1999. She's not familiar with either contact types or energy levels. She says she's new to my work and to Midlife Crisis. Her bomb drop was 2021, but she only found my website recently. The only aspect she's not clear on, though, is monstering. She says, I read your piece on monstering, and I thought my husband doesn't do that. But then I thought of something because all my friends say that he is cruel. It made me think more about it. He and I have had this several touch and goes. We don't live together, and we haven't since for 3 months after bomb drop is when he left. He shows lots of sorrow and he wants to hug, and he says he wants to be with me, and then he goes off again and soon does something that hurts me. Like last time he went to our favorite restaurant with the alienator, and she posted so many photos over Facebook. I blamed her, but I think that's an excuse that he hides behind. When he comes close, he always says he cares. Then he does something that says the opposite. Like one time when he just stopped paying for a shared bill. Is this monster? Can you say more about monster that isn't obvious? I'm confused. I'd say that's manipulation. Okay. So there's different aspects to monster. There's charming monster. That is when monster says, oh, wait, being mean isn't getting me. Bullying isn't getting me what I want. So I'm going to get what I want by being charming. Monster is, think of a puffer fish. They puff themselves out to make themselves look big. Or the peacock puffs himself out. That would be becoming a monster to get them what they want. And if that doesn't work, I'll do something else. What is that little bird? One day, Pastor was talking about a bird that pretends that it's lame. There's a bird, the killdeer. I think it pretends that it's lame to lure a human away from its nest. And so it pretends it has a broken leg or something. And then it lures the human away from its nest when it sees a human near its nest so that it can protect the nest. And the bird's fine. That would be a way of, hey, I need to act this way, a certain behavior to get it. So monster is just a way of acting, but I put different labels of monster. So what I think of is, I used to call it puppy dog, now I call it prisoner. There's prisoner and monster. And so prisoner is the real lame MLCer that's stuck inside. Your real MLCer, your real spouse is the person stuck inside, kind of like stuck inside the brain going, oh no, this alien is taking over my body, monster. But usually we think of monster as usually somebody who is being more violent emotionally or disruptive, argumentative, that way. Usually we're not thinking of somebody who is being manipulatively passive where you don't notice it. I noticed it, finally, it took a while to notice charming monster because it was deliberate. He was being deliberate with it. He knew he was doing this. And he was on purpose trying to charm to get what he wanted. Gaslight with deliberation to get what he wanted. When it's monster, monster has an ulterior motive and is doing it on purpose. It's not subconscious. So that's, I think, some of my idea with monster. So hold on, let me look. He shows lots of sorrow. He wants to hug. What your MLCer is doing is cycling. Your MLCer is a clinging boomerang. So you have somebody, and it sounds to me like you're allowing some of the behavior because you're not understanding. And that's normal. You said you just found my website. So you just found out probably a lot about MLC. You just found out about cycling. You just found out that, oh, they go back and forth and back and forth. And so it sounds like there's some enabling that's been going on. And some of it could be because you don't know about it. The cycling, touch and goes, that sort of thing. And he may or may not be cruel, because he may, and why I say that is the end result might feel cruel. It might be cruel on your end. It might be cruel to you, but it might not be cruel from him in the sense of intentions. Could be, but usually, now if he had an intention, such as he planned ahead to be cruel, that would be a monster thing. But if he wasn't doing this with any forethought for, I am going to get Sarah because this will be cruel to her and it'll hurt her, he's probably more stuck in his limerence and isn't thinking about it that way. And it's simply, some of it is transactional. Some of it is, I'm just being selfish. And that's part of MLC. It's just narcissistic rather than monster. So then I thought of something, because all my friends say he's cruel. You're looking at narcissistic. So wants to hug, he wants to be with me, clinging boomerang. Okay, so you didn't know what kind of contact type. You have a clinging boomerang. You have a high energy replayer. Okay. He goes off again, does something that hurts me. You're taking it personally. Okay. Like he went to her favorite restaurant with her, and you know he's in an affair. This is one of the reasons I say you're taking it personally. She posted photos of all over Facebook and you blamed her. Well, she's to blame, so is he. They're both to blame. Somebody, I think it was just today, because I was reading it today, posted about the alienator and blaming, and somebody else came in and said, she's not to blame, he is. And I want to scream, BS! Stop saying the alienator is not to blame. Because yes, she is. So is he. But stop saying she's not, or he, alienator. Stop saying the alienator doesn't take blame. Yes, they do. When you say the alienator is to blame, that does not saying the MLC isn't to blame. They both have blame, unless the alienator didn't know about the affair, that they were married, or the alienator was somehow under control of, under the power of, was a sex slave, this was her supervisor and she was feeling forced, that sort of coerced, that sort of thing. It was a power dynamic. But no, two people able to make their choices. Maybe one of them is more to blame than the other. And you know what? Sometimes, not always, sometimes it's the alienator is more to blame. Sometimes it's the MLCer. The alienator was a predator in my situation. She went after him. Yes, he made the choice, but she initiated it. She chose to prey on him. Does that make him to blame and her not? Absolutely not. So stop. So, sorry, but soapbox there, because that is a really bit of a gripe with me. They are both to blame. And so, yes, you can blame the alienator and you can blame him. You should blame them both. But I don't want you taking this personally. You know they're together. Your bomb drop was 2021. So you know they're together. And you are allowing some of these things to happen to your heart. You are allowing these back and forth, this cycling. You are the one who needs to set the boundaries. So that is your key word right now. Sarah, your key word is boundaries. Your other key word is detachment. I want you to go learn detachment. And one of the main things in detachment is boundaries. Okay? So those are the things to learn about for your healing. You set boundaries. That doesn't mean you cut him off completely, But it does mean that you're going to have some boundaries in there. It doesn't mean that it's all hugs and, oh, welcome home, because he should not have the same kind of relationship with you. You should not be believing him if he breaks up with her right now. Absolutely not. And you should not be going and getting mad at him when they post photos, because you know it's going on. It's like Chuck left 8 times, but he didn't have 8 affairs. He had 1 affair, because I mean, when he left, it was the same person. So I wasn't going to get mad at him 8 times, separate times. It was all the arc of one betrayal. You're in one betrayal. It's not over. Just like bomb drops. Some people say, well, I had multiple bomb drops. No, you have 1 bomb drop. Sometimes, I know it hurts over and over, but sometimes when it hurts over and over, it's because you didn't really understand. First, there's didn't understand. That's different than didn't accept. Accept is, you've got to work on that one. Understand, I get it. We're still learning and figuring it out. Once you understand, it's the arc of the same thing. And this is all, if it's the same person as his 1 affair. And if you know that he's being serial during midlife crisis, we can still put it on the arc of the same midlife crisis. So you know he's with her. So why are you getting mad? It's similar to when Chuck was living with the alienator, was I going to get mad at him every time he slept next to her? What is the point, really? I mean, goodness, I didn't know when they were having sex. I mean, sometimes they were just sleeping. I mean, it was just futile to do that and to let my brain go there. So she's posting photos on Facebook, and well, get yourself off of there. You don't have to, yeah, I know it's hard, but try not to look, okay? And he hides behind that excuse is that you're blaming her. Well, he can hide behind any excuse he wants, but both of them are allowed to post. It's stupid, sure, but he goes out with her. You have if he's not at home, you've lost the right of wife. Are you officially separated? Does he pretend to be your spouse sometimes? Or is it he pretends to be your spouse on touch and goes? Does he pretend to be your spouse with family? Stop. Stop allowing him to pretend. Stop enabling this affair and it to be illicit if that's the case. Because it sounds like there's some codependency going on. Okay. You are, in some places, it sounds like you're helping him along with this. And I could be wrong. Okay. Because it's just a little bit of information here. It's not so much that this is monster. It's that he is a clinging boomerang. And your friends don't know about clinging boomerangs, and that MLCers are standard narcissists. They're like narcissists, little narcissists. What I mean by little is they may not be narcissistic personality disorder people, but they are an MLC. And that means that NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, is something that is a big, broad thing, and you are that way from age 15 or 20 all life. So midlife crisis people are like temporary ones. You fit the bill, but just only for these few years. So you're not really an NPD. But during it, you might tick all the little boxes, except for the box that says, were they this way before? Okay. Okay, let me know if you're going to have any more questions. And I'm going to assume, but if you haven't, join the forum. Join the Facebook page and go through Understanding Midlife Crisis if you haven't already, and go through it again. And then again. I've been told a lot of people, they go through it and they get more insights again. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go on to number 4. And I know that previously I had said, so just I'm saying this to reassure you, that I was going to have to rush off because Peyton had a doctor appointment, but it's Peyton who is sick and we had to cancel all of her stuff. So the only thing I have to rush off for is I told Chuck to be home quickly and I'm going to do the grocery shopping. He also has an injury. He can't lift stuff. So I'm going to do the grocery shopping so that because he can't lift stuff. So that's all I have to do to go out. Okay, we are going to Katie. Katie has a bomb drop of October 26th, 2023. a date of marriage of 2007, and she also is not familiar with contact types or energy levels. She says, I had an he had an affair with when a woman who uses suicide attempts to keep him. He knows all of this, but he says it still feels wrong to abandon her. This is yeah. Chuck is very similar to this. They use emotional blackmail. So one of the first things I want you to do is, if you can, get the book either on Audible or from the library or Amazon it. Get the book Emotional Blackmail by Susan Forward. Read that book, listen to it, whatever. Understand what emotional blackmail is. Chuck used to tell me, I have to call her back if she calls me because it's rude not to call someone back. Mary, his person, did say she was going to not get stuff on her brain fixed. She did mild suicide things. He also, Chuck, just happened to tell me that he had a few girlfriends who had threatened suicide before I was dating him. One of them is our sister-in-law who married his brother. I don't know that she did. She said, no, that wasn't really, I didn't really say that. He's a little mixed up. I'm not sure, but another one before her, he said, so he talked about some crazies before that he would be mixed up with. I hope I'm not one of them. I never broke up with him, never threatened suicide, anything like that, but he did have a history of that, I think. There were a couple. He just mentioned 1, 2 before me. So I'm going to ignore that. Chuck is now upstairs. So she said she wasn't going to fix something on her brain. She said that she used other medical issues, but Chuck always said he was abandoning somebody, or it was impolite. There is, some of it is the knight not shining. It is tarnished armor. So there's that. So seriously, he couldn't pick up the phone. He's rushing to it now. I hear him. It feels wrong to abandon her. I filed for divorce, and now he's saying he doesn't want the divorce, which I don't either. But I'm not sure if he can actually commit to rebuilding and giving me the reassurance I need and deserve. Can it truly be saved? Okay, so the first thing, we have the can it truly be saved. I'm going to answer that the same way I answer every question with can. Yeah, because you say can. It's kind of like saying, can you win the lottery? Well, yeah, I can win the lottery without buying a ticket because somebody can give me one. But the odds of that are, really low. So will it be saved? I can't tell you. Sure, we can deserve all sorts of things. So what we have to look at is, there's some very important good news things. He doesn't want a divorce. Okay, there's that. The next good one is, we have a knight in tarnished armor, right? But we have somebody who likes to do what they think is right as well. That gets us into trouble, but they're trying to do what's right. They want to, they think they're on the right side of things. Not all people who are out there having affairs and doing this are doing it for that point and doing it as rescuers. So they're trying to come at it from the right angle. Sounds weird, but he had an affair who uses suicide. He knows all of this, but he doesn't like abandoning people. Where do you point in the angle that he's abandoning you? Then he comes out of it, well, yeah, but you can handle it. So I'm not abandoning somebody when it doesn't matter, when when they're not in a time of need, or that, because that's what I got from it was, Mary, the alienator, would say, she doesn't need you. She's strong. So you can leave her, because to abandon me is to abandon somebody who is needy. That's how she tried to get him. I'm sorry. I roll. Okay. And I was like, yeah, that's crazy. Okay, Chuck, whatever. That's how I handled that sort of thing. Really? You want to go with that? And because he kept running before that. He ran from crazy. You want crazy in your life? Okay, have at it. Where is it going to get you? Look at, before this, what are some of the things that he valued? And by valued, I don't mean like in an integrity sort of way, but for Chuck, he values financial stability. He's cheap, but so am I. Okay, we value financial stability. We are save, penny pinchers, and the last external job I had with an external company, I probably put in 40 to 60% of my paycheck into our retirement and stocks. Just because we knew I was going to leave after that and work on getting kids, and we were going to work on the adoption, and I was going to be at home. We saved and saved and saved. That's who we are. And that is very important to us. Mary was not like that. Mary was a spender. Me, I don't go to half-off day at the thrift store anymore because the thrift stores over here don't have a dedicated half-off day. But I still go to the thrift store for my clothes and for my children's clothes. And his complaint is that I don't go to the Hope Chest, which is for foster parents. I go there too, but why didn't you go to the Hope Chest, and why did you go to the thrift store? Because the Hope Chest is free. I mean, that's how, and no, I don't go buy $80 shoes and things like that. And well, now I have to for my orthotics, but only, that's when it's a medical need, and he gets that. He does, and they cost more. Oh, boy, it really gripes me. But Mary, she would have had no problem with that kind of spending, and she didn't do the saving. Even if she didn't have the spending habits, she didn't have the saving habits. So, and then I had the emotional stability, which his other girlfriends didn't have. And I had the underlying education so that I had the ability to go out and find work and have financial stability. And through our early years, I was the main breadwinner, and I carried all the benefits and insurance. So I had that stability with us that I provided. And so I gave him stability, and that was really important for him. Those were things, and maybe it sounds transactional, but we have to look at what's important. So now, Katie, what is important to your husband? Is emotional stability. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe he, usually went for crazy women, and maybe you're different. But what attracted you to him? And does he feel that, sure, maybe he feels that he needs to feel important and needed, but was it also important that there was a stability with you? And how can you sway that in a not an argument, but a discussion, where if you were doing pros and cons, and maybe he won't listen to pros and cons, but just for you and me right now, what are you on the cons and what are you on the pros? And when I say cons, it might not really be cons. Well, hey, he could rescue her and he really needs that. Might be a pro for somebody. Because no, he is going to come around. He sounds like a really good person who really wants to be with you. But he has to go through this. His bomb drop wasn't even a year ago. So I'm going to go over Chuck again. And if I don't make it, guys, we've got 2 more to go through, and we have Thursday. Okay. If I don't make it through, we've got Thursday Facebook Live again. So, and Katie, you and I are going to be able to talk about this in depth later too. Okay. But it was 3 years, and that was a short midlife crisis. Your husband has said he doesn't want a divorce. You filed. Now he says he doesn't want a divorce, and you don't either. That's great. That's early also. You're not even a year in. That's great. You're not sure he can commit to rebuilding? If this is a midlife crisis, he can't commit to rebuilding yet. Can you handle that yet? Because yeah, you might deserve and you might need it, but okay, big breath. You may not get what you need and deserve yet. But what if I can tell you, and I can't make you a guarantee, but what if what if we had a crystal ball that said, Katie's going to have this in, let's say instead of 3, let's reach out one more just to make sure it'll be more solid. Let's say 4 years. In 4 years, what if we could say it was going to happen for you, this situation? But it's going to be back and forth. Let's say at the level mine was. Can you do it? Can you do it? You're not going to have the reassurance. Maybe you're going to have the reassurance of saying, I had reassurance, but I gave it to myself. I mean, everyone else out there could say, no guarantee. I had a personal knowing. And I got to tell you, it was really confidence boosting. I believed in it. It was intuition, whether it was prophecy, psychic from God, whatever. I was sitting in yoga and it just came down through me and it waved over my body. It lasted about 30 seconds. And then I had little reminders later. And it just said, it's going to be fine. And I knew what it meant. It wasn't you're going to be fine, because I already knew that. Of course I'm going to be fine was my thought. I'm me. I can be fine. But I knew we were going to make it, or that we could. I could change my mind and I could say, the hell with you, get out. But if I chose him, we would make it. So if you had that, what are you going to say? Would you? Because you're not going to get there. If this is a midlife crisis, less than a year out. Midlife crisis is 3 to upwards of 7 years. And if he's a low energy wallower, and I don't know that he is, but I'm just going to say that, but he is a clinging boomerang. Most likely he's a clinging boomerang because he says he doesn't want a divorce. And he's already saying that now. In other words, he's cycling back and forth. What do you say? You have to be prepared for him to cycle back and forth to somebody who uses suicide attempts to manage and control other people. That is what borderline personalities do. So the next thing, while you look up emotional blackmail, I want you to look up borderline personality disorder. And sure, go ahead if you really want to show it to him, but don't expect that to help. Don't expect that to go, oh yeah, you're right. That is what I'm dealing with. Or he could say, oh my gosh, she really needs my help. Okay. Or, right. That does sound like her, but you know what? I think she's the exception. If he's in a midlife crisis, this is for you. Okay. No, he's a clinging boomerang. Clinging boomerangs, they want their anchor. That's you. Okay. You're his stable force. You make sure that you detach, you set your boundaries, but you do it with empathy. You do it with love. You do it with gentleness, with grace, but you're there for him. And it is a fine line of, I'm here for you. I'm not going to divorce you. But you know what? What you're doing is not acceptable. Period. I draw the line right there. Okay. I have 2 more, but I'm going to look up here for a sec because we have a really long one. Can a husband be in midlife crisis without ever saying, I love you, but I'm not in love with you? Mine didn't. He said, actually, I'm not sexually attracted to you. And then proceeded to prove the opposite for the next 6 weeks. Husband refuses to come clean of an affair or hookups. I have a physical proof. Lost parent in 2021 and new medical discovery. He became hopeless and depressed, then rage and anger towards me. He started walking on eggshells, distancing himself from friends and family through these years. Knows I feel hurt over his sneaky behavior, but just keeps testing me. We've had many arguments, and the last one he left, we live away. No content unless I text. Yeah, he could be at midlife crisis. He is monstering. He is being narcissistic. And it's just going to continue. So your job is to not text. Your job right now is to simply heal, to detach, to heal, and to take advantage of the distance that you have from him. Even though I know it's hard and it's painful, take advantage of the distance to get healing, because it is actually much easier to heal and get detachment when there is distance. Okay, I'm going to read these next ones, and hold on, let me scroll, because these are a continuation. Okay, so going back from, hold on. Okay, hold on. My husband blamed me for everything he and accomplished his no love. He wanted to get married. He never wanted to have a child. We hear that a lot. That is called rewriting. He keeps saying his father wanted to leave them, as well his brother and his mother, and he now will prove him how he left his family and break the cycle. Oh, what is that? Yeah, seriously. He says he hates me, my voice. Okay, yes. That is monstering. My husband forbidden me you to call him sweet nicknames. Well, don't call him nicknames. Yeah, don't. My bomb drop was 2023 October. I love him. He's the love of my life. We were married for 13 years and a beautiful 8-year-old daughter. We adored. He's so disconnected. Okay, so you're also describing standard MLC. I am going to take the next two and we're going to put them to Thursday, because I've got 2 more, and continue to send more. So, and anybody who made comments in here today, you can also put into the submission. So I have not put out the event for next time. So when I put that out, or in any of the emails, so put into the submission form, okay, and submit for your questions. And I just compile all of the questions and we'll answer them on Thursday. I believe Thursday is my usual 1 o'clock time. Let me check for a moment. See. Thursday. So Thursday, I have our Thrive discussion is at 9 to 11. So then I get a little break where I try to have lunch, and then I have 1 o'clock. And it looks like then I have a 3:15 counseling with Elijah. If he shouldn't be sick anymore. Please don't be sick anymore. So 1 o'clock on Thursday. Okay. I will see everybody then. Don't forget, Stand Up and Thrive is still open. It is open until Thursday, which is why I do another one on Thursday. Okay? I know I'm forgetting something, but I have 2 sick kids, so I'm forgetting everything. But thank you for coming, and I will see you on Thursday. Bye-bye.